The state of Texas is a study in contrast in and of itself. Rich and poor, new and old. For example, Texas A&M University is one of the most advanced engineering schools in the world. Their beloved Aggies have 83,000 people at every home game representing the 12th man. By contrast, in 1969, Texas World Speedway was built as a jewel of the NASCAR crown. IndyCar ran here too. In fact, all of the major series in North America ran here. But it's been allowed to run just a little bit fallow. But for round number 8 of Dodge Viper Cup, it's proven to be one of the most fun and interesting tracks we've ever run on. There's still a championship in contention here. This is Dodge Viper Cup.
It's time for the 8th round of the Dodge Viper Cup, presented by Pennzoil Ultra. We are at Texas World Speedway, built as a twin to Michigan International Raceway. And although the big oval didn't get quite that level of attention, the combination infield and outfield road course is a driver's favorite. Everybody excited to be here for this 8th round. As a result, here's the starting lineup. Ben Keating again, a 7th straight pole, never off at the front row this year. AJ Morgan alongside his 4th front row effort. Kurt Solberger matches his best qualifying effort ever. And Dave Fiorelli in row 2. Jeff Courtney struggling a little bit in row 3, along with newcomer Dave Pollock taking over Keating's second car. Eric Galern on the heels of his best finish of the season in 3rd, and Todd Nelson in row 4. Row 5, Mike Von Quillick and Dave Mazing, a great pair there. Looking at row number 6, Jim Johnson had a great run in the 7th round, looking to up it along with Dar Holdsworth, our celebrity drivers, and Dave Decker in row number 7, and he is in his 2nd race ever in Dodge Viper Cup competition. As always, we are on board with our pole sitter. When the wheeling lights go out, we go racing, and the Michelin tires are up to it. Oh, but look at AJ Morgan as he spins those tires, just a little bit too much torque, lights him up and fades immediately. And Dave Fiorelli, a beautiful launch, but AJ Morgan, look at him come around the outside, Tom.
He's got to do it. This is do or die. 3 rounds to go, and AJ Morgan is motivated. He already knows what he did, but Hakuna Matata, it's in the past.
Well, absolutely, and he made a nice outside move there in round 7. He knew he could get some stick, and it paid off. He's already up into the 2nd spot. Takes a look at Fiorelli as they head over that back straight into the outfield, as we are on board with Eric Galern sitting in the 6th spot, as he too, in a side-by-side battle, actually drops those rights just for a moment, gathers it up, and makes, or does he, the outside pass as we look back from Courtney, who quickly jumped up to 4th. Galern, yes, now, or does he? Here comes Solberger. Great racing.
This is side-by-side racing at its finest, and you can't do this anywhere else but Texas World Speedway. Remember, Eric Galern is at home.
Well, I'll tell you what, Solberger has found it this weekend at Texas World Speedway, slots in front of the local ace, and you can see Galern is on it as that green Viper twitching here and there. He saves it back across that back straight, now into a very tricky infield section.
Meanwhile, Ben Keating looks in his rearview mirror and says, I like when there's trouble back there, but now he's got trouble. AJ is free of Dave Fiorelli and now coming after him.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if Keating didn't maybe look in the mirrors and see AJ fade and go, thank goodness, then looks in the mirrors again and go, what?
You knew he wasn't going to give up. The points battle is just too hot. And remember, this is the last day of a doubleheader. They learned so much in race trim yesterday. Looks like it's all being put on the track here today, Greg.
Absolutely, and they are laying it down right now. And by the way, we talked about in round 7 that we were in the midst of a record streak of 100 degrees. Didn't hit it today, but 99, so it's still plenty hot, and these guys are in a fierce battle again. Keating, Morgan, Fiorelli having a great run. Courtney and Solberger complete your top 5 with Galern lurking. College Station, Texas. Texas World Speedway, it's the Dodge Viper Cup, presented by Pennzoil Ultra. A fierce round 8 unfolding, and so much action. Even while we were in break, things are happening. This happened while we were away. Dave Pollock in Ben Keating's second car, and that Viper Exchange entry just a little bit too hot, Tom. Dusty track, went for the throttle, all that torque, big slide.
A lot to be learned here. You know, a lot of these drivers are still trying to catch up to this track, and they drove yesterday. Pollock didn't drive in the first race of this doubleheader, so he's got his hands full.
Absolutely, he does. Meanwhile, we hop on board with Dave Fiorelli, and oh, as we do, he runs it a little wide, and Courtney, ever the opportunist, comes right up alongside, has that little bit of momentum. Boy, I'll tell you what, a Jeff Courtney and a Viper, when you make one little mistake, if he's close, he's gone.
You know, Jeff Courtney in that familiar number 99 Kenda car has always been a feature in these races, but here at College Station, Texas, maybe not just having the greatest weekend with the front end of that car, he and his guys just can't seem to figure out the right balance of aerodynamics and keeping those tires alive.
Yeah, and he needed some help, obviously. He's also in this points championship, second coming into this round, and qualified in 5th, struggling a bit. He needed a little moment like that, and was happy to see it, pounced on it, puts him up into 3rd, and helps that a little bit. Meanwhile, on board with Dave Fiorelli, looking back at Kurt Solberger, who is having a superb weekend. We've seen great speed from Fiorelli earlier this year, certainly, and Solberger has really come alive here at Texas World Speedway.
One more time where the car is the star. I mean, we were in 105-degree heat yesterday, racing in 99-degree heat. Well, it's a dry heat. But the fact is the machinery has held up without a hitch.
Yeah, obviously they are working very hard, and you know, this is not only really pounding these beautiful cars, this heat and this great racing, this hard racing, the Michelin tires are absolutely being abused and standing up incredibly well. We've had some cut tires from debris, and it doesn't matter how good a tire is, if you get metal into it, it is going to have its issues. But in terms of the abuse, they are doing a great job, and if they do get overheated and push too hard, you can back off a little bit, and these remarkable tires just come right back to full grip, and then you can go and battle. And we're seeing that play out occasionally here as well. There's that little bit of a bump, and then they make that climb and out into the outfield. Just a neat section of track here, and Fiorelli in 4th, feeling the pressure still from Solberger.
You know, you get the impression that Texas World Speedway isn't used much, but it really is. Something like 150 days a year. You know who love it here are the bikers.
Well, they come out and they use it up, and obviously, as we talked about, the banking doesn't get a lot of use anymore, but this track, this road course, in so many different possible configurations, it is a great place to test as well. As we hop on board with the number 53 of Dar Holdsworth. Again, this is his first ever weekend in a car in terms of racing. He's got experience in motorsports, but it's something very different, and he said this weekend is a huge learning curve.
Coming here for the first time, getting all the schooling and knowledge and training from Cindy and her team, Lux Performance. I knew coming in that I needed to be a sponge, and so I just have tried to soak it up so I don't wad up a race car, and so I can treat it with respect and have a great time and do what they tell me. It's been a lot of fun. We do a vintage bike program for our vets, so we take an old bike that either we find in someone's garage or they donate to us or we buy for a couple $100, completely restore that bike. We just did one, in fact, last weekend and presented it, a 1979 KZ1000, fully restored, gave it to a service member returning from Afghanistan. You know, this is a bucket list, check it off for me. I've wanted to be a race car driver my whole life. I have this beautiful opportunity through Dodge. Man, you know, I just want to respect the equipment, respect the opportunity, do what Cindy Lux has told me, go out and have fun. I do want to chew away at that time. I do want to improve, but I don't want to get in the way of these guys that are really grinding it out for their points in their season. I wish them all the luck, but I'm coming for them next year.
And that is good news for the Dodge Viper Cup, to have a guy of that intensity and caliber coming after it here and giving the rest of these guys a great run. And he brings up a good point. Without Cindy Lux doing the coaching and Lux Performance and Fedlux building these great cars, it's a whole different ballgame from these guest and celebrity drivers. And look at that right there. You could hear Mazik got a wrong gear. He went 2 gears up when he wanted to go for 1. And Jim Johnson, who I'll tell you what, after a huge learning curve in the 7th round in his first race, is really showing some pace, jumped on that opportunity.
You know, he saw it unfold before him and he thought, why not just go down the inside here? And Dave Mazik has the pace himself to get him back. Now Johnson's got a problem of a whole different color.
Yeah, he is really now looking in that mirror and seeing Mazik come right back after him. He knows what it's like to get the pass done, to race the guy and get around him, but now he's getting hounded, and it's going to come down to how effective he is at protecting and maybe drawing away from that lead. It's all part of the learning curve these first-time celebrity drivers have in this very fierce championship.
I love this when the celebrity guys show up and they always leave saying the same thing. They can't wait to come back. Here's your duel. Mazik and our Jim Johnson running together now, and you can see Mazik wants it down the inside there. Not going to do it.
Nope, Johnson doing a nice job of covering and protecting. And remember, in his first race in round number 7 here at Texas World, he was 12th, Johnson was, and now he's playing firmly up in the top 10, having a very, very strong run. Speaking of strong runs, Ben Keating as well. He knows what's up in this points championship. He's leading away from A.J. Morgan. Jeff Courtney a bit distant at this point, then Fiorelli and Solberger, both of them having strong, strong runs. Welcome back to Texas World Speedway, and along with this stretch of heat, it has been incredibly dry. Drought has struck this part of the country, and it has created numerous wildfires, problems for farmers, and that fire erupting while we're here. It has been that dry and hot. Unfortunately, problems here for Eric Galern as he makes a pit stop as well. As we come back with this 8th round of the Dodge Viper Cup presented by Pennzoil Ultra, he's out of the pits. They were looking at that tire. Didn't look like it was deflated or any problems there. And as he comes out, he is not back at full song by any means. So this might be something. Maybe he clipped a curb, broke something in the suspension, but he is off the pace, Tom.
He certainly is. He looks a little twitchy as he comes out of there, but keep in mind, just that run down pit lane is going to take enough heat off the Michelin tires so as that they're not going to be as effective with you when you went in. And he did change out a rear tire.
No, but he's pulling off, so something wrong here. I don't know whether he couldn't get that car turned. No, he has now just pulled off into that little access road. So something, my guess is you get off line here, you hit stuff, it's a little rough in spots, and he may have just broke a suspension point, something like that, and being wise there to pull down and park it at this point. And this is interesting. We were talking about this great battle here between that white and black Viper of Mazik, Johnson in the yellow and red Pennzoil Ultra machine, and that is Pollock coming up in that second car of Keating in that Viper Exchange entry, and he is joining this fray, having a very solid run in his first ever appearance.
I like it for Jim Johnson. He's been passed, he has passed, and now he's in another dog fight with one of the big dogs in Texas. Jim Johnson's having a great time.
He absolutely is. He's in the wars, that's for sure, and that's what racing is all about. And Pollock, though, I'm very impressed with the way he has really just kind of moved along. I mean, an awesome qualifying effort, up in 6th, and he's just stayed right in the battle to be sure, as this one is a fierce-fought battle as well, Tom.
Two other guys I like. Mike Von Quillick just puts the muscle down. Oh, and Todd Nelson drops tires on his left just a little bit too early and nearly loses it.
Absolutely. Nelson throwing everything at it. And it's an interesting story. We talked about in round 7 that his business partner is Dave Decker. And these two guys have created an amazing new venture. And we asked Todd to tell us about it.
Well, ART is a performance shop, and we specialize in Viper, big horsepower Viper. And we put together some of the best Viper technicians back when all the dealerships were going broke and closing down, and we picked up some of the best talent. We brought them all to one place and kind of focus on the fact that these guys know more than just putting cars back together. The 1800 car started out as a 2006 Viper. Didn't have enough power, so we decided we were going to build a twin turbo. But to build the twin turbo, we didn't want to go the same route everybody else went. We didn't want to modify the frame and weaken the car, so we re-engineered our turbo system to fit within the confines of Viper and to close the hood, close the doors, run the radio, have the carpet, have a comfy interior. We kept it that way, designed the car from the ground up that way, and then started building our power plant. The car produces about 2,000 horsepower. We gave it the number 1800 to intimidate our opponents and to get them to assume it was 1800, but we have much more power on tap. And we built the car, and I got to run it the first time out and set the world record in October of 2010 at 233.8.
And that record was rather short-lived, as the next serious attempt, as a matter of fact, that was made. Dave Decker got behind the wheel, added over 7 miles an hour to that record, 240.9 miles an hour, Tom.
Now I'm starting to understand the parachute.
Yeah.
You got to get wound up, too.
You got to have that hand on it constantly. That thing is, it's not just a street car, it's not a race car, it's a rocket.
Oh, what a Viper.
Oh, unbelievable. And it shows you just what these cars are capable of. As it's an amazing story. And there he is, having a good look at that number 18 of Todd Nelson as he's currently embroiled in that battle. But look who's coming up hard astern. A big run down to the inside by Dave Pollock.
Dave Pollock wants to stick it in there and has a run on him, but you can't get offline too much here at Texas World.
And he picked up some dust and off. I think he just learned a pretty valuable lesson. Boatloads of torque, offline, lots of dust, don't get greedy.
But be brave. I mean, I think his foot was on the rug all the way through while he still had 4 tires off.
Well, you never say die, do you? You just got to keep your foot in and hope you can straighten it out. Just couldn't quite get it done, but gathers it up.
And not a mark on the car. Don't you love that?
Absolutely. And yeah, that's the one nice thing. There is a bit of runoff here in the Texas Plains, huh?
Yeah, you can watch your dog run away for a couple of days here.
And back to this fierce battle. Mazik got back around Johnson, but has not been able to shake him. And I think there's a possibility here that Johnson is continuing to just go to school.
Well, you know, he had an opportunity to follow A.J. Morgan for exactly 3 corners in round number 7 and realized he wasn't going to be able to run that kind of pace. But he is learning from Dave Mazak, and so far being able to match his pace by running basically in his wheel tracks. Here's an opportunity.
Absolutely, and these two have caught Nelson, and just that fast, Mazik was able to slice through, and Nelson's times actually have fallen off just a little bit. So it's interesting, don't know why, but right now he is under huge pressure from Johnson.
Well, here's a completely different problem. Now, he was following Mazek. Now he's got to try to pick his way by here, and it wouldn't be advisable to do it in the twisty bits. He can wait and run him on the straightaway, can he?
Well, absolutely, and of course the problem is that he does not want to see Mazik just drive away while he's behind Nelson, and Nelson is definitely struggling at this stage, so keeping an eye here and see what Johnson is able to do. Here we go into this very, very twisty chicane section, and look at Nelson's car. It's super loose and twitchy through there, so something's amiss, and we'll keep an eye as he comes by the timeline here and see what's going on with his times. But here comes Johnson just on the loud pedal, comes up, tucks into the draft, slices underneath, and as he does that, as Nelson went through the timing beam, he's definitely losing a bit of time here, so something's not quite right in Johnson jumping on that opportunity, and not a moment too soon, because Mazik had started to draw away.
You know, now he's back to trying to follow Mazik and run him down now. It's been a great day for Jim Johnson.
Well, it absolutely has. You know, you think about it, he was 12th yesterday, and look where he's running right now, solidly in the top 10, and that great battle up front continues. You know, they talk about big sky country in Montana, but everything's big here in Texas, as they like to say. This is the 8th round of the Dodge Viper Cup presented by Pennzoil Ultra. We are into our final few laps, actually our last couple of laps coming up. There is a look at your leader, Ben Keating, and after that moment in the 7th round of the championship when he had the cut tire and dropped back to 8th, he has done everything he wanted to do and can do in terms of trying to stem the flow, if you will, in the loss of championship points for pole. He has led every lap, and if he can hang on, he is going to get a win and tie A.J. Morgan for most wins in this season with 3. So he's done a great job, but A.J. Morgan's there. One mistake from Keating, and Morgan has opportunity. So this is a huge final lap for Ben Keating.
And some anxiety going on, I should imagine, in there, but it looks like Ben Keating's just leaving a little extra margin at the apex, giving himself a little extra track out room, Greg. He doesn't have to be in a huge hurry to make this thing stick.
Well, and he's been known, even late in the race, to be pushing super hard, drop a tire, make a little mistake. And I think, you know, obviously he's learned the lesson. You're right, look at that. Way off of where he could be on that track out point, giving himself a lot of room. And I'm sure his crew is saying, just bring it home, buddy, and you are going to stretch that championship lead again.
On their way into Daytona, you know, the whole ViperExchange.com crew are here, along with some Tomball Dodge people. This is home for Ben Keating as well as Eric Allern, and he needed to have this win today for a lot of reasons. But when you can tick off the scorecard that perfectly, Greg, that's a good day right there.
You bet it is, and he has not put a wheel wrong. He's still certainly being plenty quick enough to keep A.J. Morgan behind him, but is giving himself just that little bit of margin, and that is the sign of a very, very good driver. He certainly has always been fast, and we're seeing that racecraft, I think, develop as well for Ben Keating, and boy, what a perfect time for it, as you said, into the final 2 rounds of the championship after this, and he's going to stretch that margin just a little bit over this gentleman, and of course, Jeff Courtney, who's back a ways in 3rd.
You know, this has been the championship all weekend long. These three guys, as we've lost sight of Jeff Courtney from this low angle shot here, but he's back there in third, and this looks like it's going to stack up going into the last two rounds, just like the championship ought to be. 1, 2, 3, Keating, Morgan, then Courtney.
It's some good stuff. Onto the front straight we go, and Ben Keating coming by. Absolutely solid race. Never a wheel wrong, and he takes the win. A.J. Morgan second, keeping this championship certainly close and alive as they come through. But for Ben Keating, a great finish after that problematic 7th round. This is exactly what he wanted. And there you take a look at the results. You can see the margin. And Courtney started 5th, fought his way up into 3rd, and just couldn't get any closer than that. He closed it up a little bit, then dropped back off, I think probably because of that front end problem he had. Now here are the points. Only 32 adrift is Courtney, and only 8 behind Courtney is Morgan. It is down to those 3, but Fiorelli and the gang behind him, they have their own great scrap for 4th in the championship as you take a look back all the way down to 19th. And I think one of the things you see there, Tom, is look at how full that championship is.
Absolutely. You know, more and more Dodge Viper Cup runners as this series has caught on with this TV package and some of the greatest racing we're seeing for GT cars in North America. You know what? I don't think he cares about those rear tires, Greg.
I was going to say, now the checkered flag is done, let's burn them up and have some fun and celebrate. And for a race driver, often that's all about donuts. There is your podium, and it is your championship chase going into the final 2 rounds coming up at Daytona. It is going to be a great final couple rounds of the championship. Look at that beautiful machine. That is acid, and it has absolutely been dominant here in this 8th round of the championship. A great day for Ben Keating and the Viper Exchange team. 2 rounds to go at Daytona. We'll be bringing them to you right here. So great to have you with us. For Tom Natchew, I'm Greg Creamer. Take care, everybody.